right, starting recording. Let's see here. I want to go here. All right, so I'm looking at this. This. God, let me think for a second. This comment Drakova put on my video here. Again, I talked to Drakova on the phone. I talked to Drakova in Discord. I talked to Drakova a lot, right? But he says most fights are like 3 seconds, and then nothing but flash of light or holy light spam. Time on target of 20 seconds is PVE. And this, of course, is in response to my video I put up recently concerning the actual numbers behind Edward the Odd and Hand of Rag and that kind of stuff. Oh boy. Okay, so I have to assume that what Drakova means here is he means that when you get physically on top of somebody, you've only got about 3 seconds before they get you off of them, right? And this whole I'm on top of somebody plus for 20 seconds plus seems like a bit of a fantasy to him. At this point, I'm not entirely sure if Drakova is just straight up trolling me, but I'm hoping you guys can go on over to that what's arguing with Drakova real numbers behind Reckoning. And yell at him in the comments section, because at this point I just don't know what to do. I made an entire video on the subject of specifically certain matchups against like how much time on target you can expect to get and under what circumstances. With a class by class breakdown, right? So, like priests, for example, with a PvP trinket, just nothing but a PvP trinket, that's 25 seconds of time on target. Especially if grenade resists. So you physically get on top of them. They try to fear you. You trinket the fear. They have 25 seconds before they can fear you again. So that's 25 seconds where they're stuck on you. They can try to use a grenade, but grenades almost always got used up in that matchup when they were trying to kill you previously. So you were going to heal yourself. They grenaded you. They went for a silence. They tried to kill you. It failed because you're wearing the right gear. And now they're stuck in this situation where they're living off of fears, waiting for their grenade to come off a cooldown. If they did grenade you and successfully stun you, okay, so they run away for 3 seconds, but then you grenade them back and then get on top of them. And now you're looking at something like 20 seconds of time on target, right? That's off of a single PvP trinket. You start factoring in bubble. You start bubble plus cancel. You start factoring in mithril insignia, and the time on target grows substantially. Elemental shamans are another good example. If elemental shaman cannot kill you in the bomb or in their nuke, what tends to happen, or force out bubble in the nuke, what typically tends to happen is you get to go for a 6-second stun on them. If the 6-second stun is successful on them, that means as a Holy Reckoning Paladin, you can easily heal to full life. You could be like, 5% life and heal to full life off of a 6-second stun, no problem. And then you have, it's a shaman's problem to physically get you off of them. And again, they wind up in this scenario where they don't have grenade because they used grenade in their bomb combo, or they don't have War Stomp because they used it in their kill combo, and so you're just physically on top of them with a high HP pool, and it is their problem to get you off of them, and they can't get you off of them, so you end up with these very long periods of time of time on target. Another great example is Warlock, when you have Mithril Insignia running. If you don't have Mithril Insignia running with Warlock, you end up with long periods of time on target if you have a decent amount of Shadow Resist. But really, against Warlocks, you want Mithril Insignia. It's like the only matchup you really use Mithril Insignia in 100% of the time. Again, we're gonna go through these one at a time. Mages, you almost never get time on target versus a mage. But there are periods of time where you get like 6 seconds of time on target with a mage. And how that always works is, Talrain can talk about this. He kills mages with Reckoning with these small windows of time on target. It's actually really fascinating to watch. So what ends up happening is he'll like rocket boots towards the mage, or you like nifty stopwatch towards the mage. The mage tries to sheep you. If you're rocket booting or nifty stopwatching, what tends to happen is, or swiftness potioning, they can't get the sheep off in time before you can stun them. You 6-second stun them, they blink out of the stun, you throw a grenade at them, the grenade gets there in time, or you goblin mortar them. They can't Like they blink away from you, they turn around, they try to sheep, but if you're good with your grenade or you're good with your goblin mortar, you can easily get back on top of them, especially with the movement speed enhancers. That forces out ice block. Now, if you know anything about blink, blink's on a 15-second cooldown, and ice block is only lasts 10 seconds, and you got on top of them. Point is, they're going to come out of ice block before they can blink away, which means they're going to get wreck bombed. And if we're talking about a reckoning paladin, that's a game, which means you probably forced out double ice block. And on top of that, you can gear swap. So you get to get out of your goblin rocket boots, or get into your nifty stopwatch, or get into your tidal charm, or whatever the hell else you need, and the mage is down 2 ice blocks already. Which means the next cycle of this type of proceedings, like you're still physically on top of them, they're going to die horribly. But even if they didn't die in the bomb the next time these proceedings happen, like let's say you repeat the process, except this time the Frost Mage doesn't have double ice block. What ends up happening is you get on top of them, you stun them, they blink away from you, you grenade them, Goblin Mortar them, Tidal Charm them, or whatever. It's only a 1.5 second stun, but it doesn't matter. You're using a movement speed enhancer like a nifty stopwatch, or blah 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 blah, or speed potion. You might not have even of those. It doesn't matter because you can actually walk up to them. We talked about that in the previous video. What are they going to do? They don't have ice block. They're going to go for a sheep while you are wreck bombing and or beating the crap out of them. Like, good luck with that. Like, what if you have bubble off of cooldown? What are they going to do? So you end up with this lovely little window of time on target where you're just going to beat them to death. And of course, as Reckoning, Talrain doesn't even have to go through that time on target process. The time on target process just guarantees the kill. So he'll bomb the mage, and if for some reason that the mage survived the bomb, like the mage uses a Arena Grandmaster trinket or something, it really doesn't matter, because the mage still has somewhere in the vicinity of like 11 to 12 seconds before they can blink. And they have a fucking Reckoning Paladin on top of them. I mean, God help you, they're usually just dead. So even though the time on target window is very small with a mage, it is there, and you can squeak it out. Okay, so we did Shaman, we did Priest, we did Mage. Let's do Hunter. Yeah, you can definitely get sizable periods of time on target versus a Hunter if you're using your trinkets correctly. The time on target, however, is probably less than 10 seconds. However, with Shamans, you're better off killing them by like bombing them and then beating them up a little bit, and then they'll do like their stun and freeze on you thing, and then you try to kill them in repeated bombs, because they just can't really heal themselves all that well. But it very much changes if we're talking about a dueling scenario, or if we're talking about world PvP. So if we're talking about dueling, the Hunter's major issue is that he's going to run into the invisible wall. If we're talking about world PvP, the major issue is that you can grab the nearest mob and, no longer be susceptible to being ice blocked or anything like that. And so they just kind of have to run in a straight line forever and ever and ever. But you can actually get sizable chunks of time on target versus a Hunter, but really it's only about 10 seconds, give or take. But if you look at the math, 10 seconds is usually more than enough to get the job done. And of course, if you were tanky enough, which Holy Reckoning is, that you still have Bubble, that you possibly have PvP Trinket, Tidal Charm, Goblin Mortar to play with, all kinds of other nasty stuff to get the job done. They often end up in this scenario where they don't die to like the first bubble, but they die to the second bubble. And the reason for that, of course, is because they survived the first bubble by having shit tons of mana. And then when the second bubble rolls around, they don't have any mana left. And so you no longer have to use your bubble defensively, theoretically. But Holy Reckoning is usually just so durable that you're saving your bubble for a kill move. So yeah, I don't really struggle with Hunters. I haven't struggled with Hunters for a long time, but you can get good chunks of time on target versus a Hunter. I think if you were at the top of your game, you could easily get 20 seconds of time on target versus a Hunter, because again, what the hell are they going to do, right? Actually, yeah, if you actually watch high-level tournament duels between Hunters and Paladins, you'll notice that the Paladin is all over the Hunter for however long their Blessing of Freedom lasts. So if your Blessing of Freedom lasts 16 seconds, you're going to get 16 seconds of time on target. Plus, like, maybe an extra second. 1 second. Gotta pause the video. Yeah, apparently it's delivery at the door. My wife works from home these days, so if I hear her start talking, that's an instant like, oh, time to be quiet kind of a thing. All right, so where the hell was I? Hunters. Yeah, so I watch high-level duels, but most of those paladins are like Ret Reckoning or they're like Deep Ret. And yeah, so you get a sizable chunk of time on target versus hunters, no problem. Hell, Peaceblade can get sizable chunks of time on target versus a hunter, and that's Deep Holy. Like, that's not even Reckoning. Like, come on. Which, for all intents and purposes, are essentially the same build, except one has a Wreck Bomb, right? All right, so we got Hunter. Next on the list would be Druid. It is actually very difficult to get large chunks of time on target versus a Druid. You can use, however, if you're using shit like Icy Weapon Enchant, Mug of Hurt, and Frost Oil, which is, it's a combination that I exclusively use only on Druids. I might use it on a Rogue, but it's almost exclusively for Druids. Like if I'm fighting a Druid and I just can't get the Druid to take a draw, and F off, like they actually want to fight, I'm like, all right, fine, let me break out my Mug of Hurt, let me put a damn Frost Oil on this thing, time to die. And they will die horribly to that. And the reason for that is because usually you get on top of them when they don't have all that much mana to work with. And then you're just putting all these slows on them. It's a pretty ridiculous % chance to proc anything at that point because Mug of Hurt has a ×2 proc rate. Chilly Weapon Enchant has a ×2 proc rate with SOR, and then Frost Oil has a ×2 proc rate with SOR. And they're stuck trying to shift out of all these damn slows, which just doesn't work, and it eats their mana like crazy. And then if Mug of Hurt procs, it's just over. So you can get this massive chunk of time on target with them. It doesn't work quite as well if you don't use Frost Oil specifically. You're kind of just praying to the RNG gods. It works about 1 in 3 times you get on top of the Druid Mug of Hurt. Otherwise, yeah, you definitely need to put Frost Oil on. All right, next class. Paladins doesn't work on well, Paladins always time on target. There's nothing but time on target in that matchup. What's the next one? What am I missing? We got Rogues and I think Warriors, and that's it, right? Warlocks, we did Warlocks. Yeah, we did Elemental Shamans, we did Warlocks, we did Mages, we did Hunters, we did Druids, we did Priests. So that's 6. We did Paladins, that's 7. Yeah, so I guess it's just Rogues and Warriors. All right, so the thing with Rogues is you can actually get a rather sizable period of time on target versus a Rogue once all of their stuff is pretty much on cooldown, right? Specifically when they're out of 2 of their blinds. And Holy Reckoning is definitely tanky enough to get to a point where they're out of 2 of their blinds, and they're definitely tanky enough to get to a point where the Rogue doesn't have blinds anymore with Edward the Odd. Now, if the Rogue is smart, he just Fs off after his kill combo has not worked. Thank you. That's very nice of you. But if they're dumb enough to stick around, I'm going to do this, right? I talk and the honk. Okay, fine. If they're dumb enough to stick around, things like Edward the Odd, Frost Oil becomes a big deal versus a Rogue, which you have plenty of time to put on your weapon. Mug of Hurt can do terrible, terrible things to a Rogue. The situation that the Rogue is kind of in is that they can't really prevent you from trinket swapping on them. So since suddenly you're feeling very comfortable, you can start trinket swapping to trinkets that are specifically kill a Rogue. But listen, I can tell you how to kill a Rogue pretty easily with time on target when all of their stuff is on cooldown. But if we just scroll up and we look at the numbers, actually I still have it up here. Let's go here. If you just look at your damn numbers, with Hand of Rag, right? A Wreck Bomb plus Stun plus Grenade with Hand of Rag is a dead Rogue. So, in truth, we don't even really have to talk about time on target versus Rogues because they're going to explode horribly to the Wreck Bomb. Who cares, right? But since I didn't have a damn good two-handed weapon to explode Rogues with back in the day, I actually had to learn firsthand how to kill them with just a fast one-hander when all of their stuff was on cooldown. And it actually works out really, really well. You can get a sizable chunk of time on target if you're willing to spend X, Y, and Z cooldowns and certain trinkets in the matchup. The reason for this is because all they're working with is gouge at that point. So they open on you, you come out of the opener just fine, and they gouge you and they try to run away. And if you have stuff that either mostly it's like if you have bubble back up again, or you got PvP trinket, or even something as simple as bop, right? They gouge you, you bop yourself out of it, you cancel bop, you get back on top of them again. Their next gouge is going to have a non-existent cooldown on it, which means it's sprint or die for them. If they're sprinting, you can do stuff, but if you had like Goblin Mortar or even like the burst trinkets at that point, or the trinket that puts that puts dots on them for like 30 seconds works really good under those circumstances. They just die to Hammer of Wrath. They die to speed potions. They die to limited vulnerability potions. They die to free action potions for obvious reasons. They just die. So if for some reason, some magical reason like me, you didn't have a good two-handed weapon, the time on target strategy actually becomes a thing. But if you did have a good two-handed weapon, then they're just going to die horribly in the bomb. Warriors are a little bit in the same boat. You can generate a very long period of time on target versus a warrior. It's a lot like the Hunter matchup. I'm not Hunter. Hunter matchup specifically, because the warrior can slow you at any time that they want to and get distance away from you, which means that your time on target is almost always directly relatable to how long your freedom lasts. So if you have a 16-second Blessing of Freedom, that's how much time plus 1 second that you get for time on target versus a warrior. However, time on target versus a warrior only comes into play, like the whole matchup is time on target until they decide that they want to break contact with you and try to get away from you to bandage and eat a little bit, that kind of stuff. Mostly it's about bandaging, right? So they do the hit and run thing. And under those circumstances, you can get about 20 seconds of time on target. If you're willing to use a Blessing of Protection, and this is an important thing to note, if you're willing to use Blessing of Protection to get rid of the slows, you can get even more time on target on a warrior, especially if you're willing to use stuns and stuff to back that up. The reason for that is because it acts like you get to remove their slow with a Blessing of Protection, and if they're not careful, they often don't have enough rage to reapply it, because it's actually 10 rage to apply a hamstring, if you didn't know. Their charge generates damn it. Their charge generates 20 rage, and then when they auto attack you, they tend to get like another 30 rage out of that, because you're like an armored, shielded target, which is barely enough rage for them to like Mortal Strike you. It's not enough rage for them to Mortal Strike and Whirlwind you. So they tend to do this charge in thing, and then they'll get like a couple auto attacks in you. So now they actually have enough mana to or energy rage. There we go. To auto attack you and to Mortal Strike and Whirlwind you, and then they try to get the hell out of dodge. But if you're paying attention, they've only got about 20 rage on them. They're generating 1 rage a second, so they'll have enough rage. But there's been a lot of circumstances where I just look at their rage bar and I know that they can't hamstring me again for like 6 or 7 seconds, and I'll just bop cancel and just keep running at them, and they're like, oh fuck. And then of course they're not they're not calculating this over 200 one-handed DPS that it has shit tons of spell power behind it, so they just kind of melt. And of course they get into Hammer of Wrath range, and it's over. So the time on target's important, but normally you're just sitting in a two-hander. But if you want to, you can go Edward the Odd and just beat the crap out of them. It's not even a matchup at that point. You might think you need Bubble to survive the duel. At that point, you don't. If you're using Edward the Odd basically acts. It's going to proc once or twice during the course of the fight, and you're going to heal yourself for a shit ton. And it's just the shield does the rest of the work, and it's just like I stopped dueling warriors by using Bubble because it's just not fair anymore. It's a fair fight between me and a warrior in the tier 2 gear if I use Edward the Odd and a shield. And I'm not using Bubble. If I use Bubble, it's just I could fight 2 warriors at that point, and it would be a fair fight. So anyway, that's all. Just a quick rundown of the classes. I'm hoping you guys can do me a favor and come on over to Arguing with Drakova video and actually tell him your personal experiences of getting time on target, because I have no idea what the hell he's smoking when he says most fights are 3 seconds and then nothing but flash of light or holy light spam. Time on target is 20 seconds. He's right in some matchups that you're on target for a little bit of time and then you're forced to heal yourself. However, I would say not in most matchups, in some matchups. We get around this as paladins by selecting when we jump on, when it's go time to jump on the target, right? It's like, is it go time to go for time on target when I'm 50% life? Maybe not. What about 30% life? Definitely not. It's time to stun the target and go for full heal, and oh look, I'm physically on top of you, what are you going to do about it? And if their what are you going to do about it was used up already, then that's when you get the 20 seconds of time on target. So we usually play around the idea that we're trying to get out the what are you going to do about it already before we even go for the time on target play. Which it works spectacularly. I'm sure you guys have noticed this by now. What's the other one? Edward the Odd. Edward the Odd also comes in really clutch under these circumstances, because like, what does my scenario look like when I'm forced to heal myself? Like, let's say I get on top of a target and I'm 50% life, right? I'm thinking specifically of like a warlock. Well, let's say for some reason the stun gets resisted, or they PvP trinket away the stun because they have PvP trinket still available to them. So I'm like, okay, cool. I got a PvP trinket. What do I do? Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that I don't have Whipper-Root, I don't have Healing Potion to work with. I don't have any other type of 3-second stunner. I don't even have Grenade to work with for some magical, mystical reason. Because, again, you can grenade the target and get off a 70% heal Holy Light in that amount of time as Holy Reckoning. Again, if Deep Holy can find places to time on target, Reckoning can find places to time on target. Let's just say I've got, again, maybe these, I got about 6 seconds of beating on the target before I need to desperately stop and heal myself. That's still enough time for about 5 Edward the Odd attacks, like the initial one when I hit him with Edward the Odd. Like, let's say I run up, I wreck bomb with a Hand of Rag, I switch over to Edward the Odd, and I'm going to have to heal myself after 6 seconds. Okay, well, I'm only going to get 4 auto attacks in with my Edward the Odd. But 4 auto attacks with Edward the Odd's like that's like a 25% chance or something to proc. About 24% chance that Edward the Odd procs. And when Edward the Odd procs, I'm just going to heal for 70% of my life, and suddenly I have this massive time on target window where they're not going to get me off of them. Then you have scenarios where you know that this is the scenario that's going to play out, so you don't even go into that combat with Hand of Rag. You bomb them with Edward the Odd, which is really limp dick and pathetic. We got the bomb for Edward the Odd over here. Yeah, you're going to bomb them for like a minuscule amount of damage. But at the same time, you're setting up time on target to be absolutely nasty. Well, in that scenario, now you're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of like a... let me think. Yeah, over a 50% chance to proc Edward the Odd. Is a 50% chance to just straight up win the fight with a massive time on target worth it? And the answer is hell yeah. I'll roll those dice at 50% chance that I just automatically win this duel. No problem. However, if the bomb was just going to annihilate them, you'd probably want to go with the bomb instead. Obviously, but... No, so I'm intimately aware, familiar with this. I don't know. Again, I'm in a bit of an argument with Drakova on this one, and I think he's smoking crack. So, anyways, I'm going to end the video here, and Day of Salt, boys.